Okay, so let's tackle another obstacle here. So sometimes when we set a goal, we hit an obstacle, and then that's it. We just stop. We don't know how to get around it, and we never achieve our goal or our vision. And that's why I'm sharing these videos, because I want you to see kind of what it's, I mean, you know what it's like to struggle, but not everybody knows what it's like to get past those obstacles. And so hopefully sharing this journey with you will help you in what you're doing as well. And maybe it's just interesting. I like to watch people sweat. I like to watch people struggle. I like to watch people go through difficult times and grow through those difficult times and become a better, stronger person in the end. So hopefully maybe this will at least be entertaining for you. So I want to kind of tackle the obstacle of self-doubt and second guessing and all that kind of stuff, because I've come far enough now, I'm deep enough into this that I feel like I can't give up, because I've gone public with this, and then I'll just kind of look like, oh, he gave up. But I want to give up. And I want to give up because I just have no idea that it's going to work out. It was easy a few months ago when all I had to do was talk about, the grand vision for my studio and that kind of thing. Not so easy when the deadline is, to get a studio is like 3-4 months away, and all of a sudden I'm like, wow, there's a lot that I haven't figured out yet. And if I hadn't told anybody about this, I just wouldn't get a studio. But that would actually be kind of a shame, because I mean, if I could step back, if I was giving a friend advice, if it was a friend wanting to found a studio and I knew everything about them that I needed to know, I would definitely be encouraging them. I'd just be like, look, you're at that part of the story where you're doubting yourself, you don't see how this is going to work out, your weaknesses are now getting in the way, and you got to overcome these. So self-doubt is like a massive weakness of mine. It's just like again, I'm just plagued with self-doubt. I mean, I don't even know how I make it through the day sometimes, but I know it's a weakness that every time I overcome it in one realm, it gets so much easier every time I have to face it. And I mean, this is scary in a sense, not a horror movie scary, but it's a little bit scary because I've never had a studio before. It's going to be a financial commitment. There's still a lot of uncertainties involved. But here's one thing that I'm doing to overcome this obstacle. I've spent the last few months basically laying out my vision, not just for the studio. I kind of already did that before. But figuring out what my vision is as a photographer, like, who am I, or what am I as a photographer? What is this really all about for me? And so what I have found is that in those moments where I start doubting myself and I think, oh, is this a stupid idea? Is it really going to work? I go back to my vision for myself as a photographer and the things that I hope to accomplish as a result of that vision. And I go, I gotta have a studio. Can I do it without a studio? Sure, I could. But it's about time to find a home now, for my work. At least a temporary one, at least one that I would have for a year or two, if not permanently, but at least a place to say, look at what I've discovered. Because as a photographer, I love to explore. I find that that's one of the biggest things I'm doing with my photography is exploring. And I'm not a person to explore nature so much as I am a person to explore, human nature. So I don't necessarily go out there and photograph a whole lot of landscapes and nature and that sort of thing, even though I do a little bit, and I do like to explore the natural world. But I like to explore human nature and relationships, and my camera has allowed me to get into some places where I never would have been before. Like I have spent a lot of wedding day mornings with the bride and the groom who are getting married, and I have seen, other than other photographers and people who work, sort of in the wedding industry, I've seen a lot more people on their wedding day than anybody else has, and I will even see the bride and groom on their wedding day more than their parents will even see them on the wedding day, because I'm just constantly there, if they, assuming that they want me around for the whole day. But it's interesting, you know, when you're with a bride on the morning that she's getting married, you're with a groom on the morning that he's getting married. I mean, you get to see something about that person. And then when you're with a whole bunch of brides and grooms on their wedding day spread out over time, you get to see what people in general are like on their wedding days. And it's a very different day for them. It's one thing that made weddings difficult for me was that people are just so different on their wedding day. I do engagement photos, and I think I know the couple, and then I see them on their wedding day, and I'm like, who are these people? And so that's been something really interesting to discover. So I love to explore human nature. And anyways, I've been sort of hammering out my vision as a photographer, and I think, no, deal with the self-doubt somehow. And I've got to push through and do this studio. So, I'm second guessing the idea of having a studio to begin with, and I just go right back to my vision as a photographer and my vision for the studio, and I go, no, this has to happen. Even if for some reason it's only temporary, even if it's just for a year or two, I need to have a studio. I need to have a place to show my work and to invite people in to see it, to invite students in so that I can teach them how to do what they want to do with photography. And this is one of the things I love about pursuing a goal is having to face your weaknesses along the way and overcome those weaknesses. So the whole self-doubt thing, it's an obstacle. It makes me want to give up. But I'm also kind of excited to face it. And that's one of the things I made these videos. I kind of want to document the journey, all the obstacles that come up, the personal weaknesses, the self-doubt, all that kind of stuff, and figure out, how do you push through and how do you make something happen? I want to be sitting in my studio one day going like, wow, I can't believe it happened. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I overcame, the little physical obstacles, but more importantly, I can't believe I overcame the personal obstacles, my personal weaknesses and that sort of thing. So, self-doubt as an obstacle, the way I've been dealing with it is to really hammer out my vision as a photographer and my vision for my studio, so that when the doubt comes along, I go, look, I don't know how it's going to work out. I don't know the details, but this is what I'm envisioning, and it has to happen.